Every project's different. Sometimes a project starts with a space, or sometimes a project starts with an idea.
It's about taking different elements of lots of different things: music, theatre, film, life, normality, combining all of that into trying to find a way to make something interesting.
We are making films or creating websites that offer an alternative way to experience these things online or in another way. We created a website out of our objects whenever we were doing Nest, where we collected thousands of objects from people around Northern Ireland. We created a website which presented 100 of these objects. Those people from all around the world could come in, read the story, see the objects, but then leave their own virtual object or leave an object virtually and leave their stories.
I guess Dumbworld believes in a certain validity of lots of things. In some ways, I often think it was a bit like a kind of weird orchestra of stuff. And then what we try to do is try to make something really interesting by combining all these disparate elements.
We look at the world and we try and take things from it and try and find the humour there, try and find what's interesting for us, and then turn that around and create something that is vibrant and interesting for other people. And there is something about humour being so essential in everything, and there's no way to interpret or to work on anything if there's not a lightness of touch, and that we can't laugh even at the most terrible dark things.
I don't believe this. You care more about a dead dog than you do about me.
There is a connection to place in what we do, because often we go into somewhere and it's about getting past the first level of understanding. It's about spending time. When we went down to Carlow and we created Shelter Me From the Rain, we went down and we spent a huge amount of time in Carlow talking to people about love and persuading people to tell us their love stories.
When it's not Tetris, it's hide and seek. Beyonce's been lip syncing. Maxwell's a fraud. Here is no facial hair, facial hair, facial hair. Negative is most meat in our burgers, unsmoking bacon crisps. Sugar's full of mercury and macros over fish.
It all comes from looking at the world to begin with. That's where I think of everything that we've done, it's always about looking at the world. For those little short operas, it was about going into Dublin, hanging around the streets, meeting people there, and finding out what was interesting or what was interesting to us, and where we find stories were. And we find stories in places like, a couple of older people, trying to chase after another older person to shoot him dead because he'd been sleeping around.
We like to think of our work as existing in the kind of cracks between the dimensions of art and theatre and film, and it's about finding all this little secret stuff which is hanging around inside people, and then trying to find a way of pulling that out and celebrating it or shining a light on it somehow.
Deer nibbled at the new tender shoots of grass. Just like your dreams. You close your eyes, you see that.
Mm-hmm.
When I read that there, it goes into my imagination. Never give up in dreams, Robert. Never give up in dreams, son.
But that can be a dark thing, it can be a humorous thing, it can be a ridiculous thing, it can be whatever it's going to be. all of our pieces are principally about exploring humanity, a kind of humanity.
He screamed for help, but who could help when all humanity had floated away? He began to spin, slowly at first, then faster and faster, head over heels, getting dizzier and dizzier as Jake was sucked deeper and deeper into the endless blackness of the black hole.
Where there's a blurring between creation and performance, where it all becomes a single idea. And I think that's important, that we every workshop, the beginning of projects, how they come together are just as important as how they end and the performances. It's all one big thing.